Okay, hello again. This is Twy and welcome back to my channel. Um, this is slowly turning into a, I don't know if I could call this commentary or diary or I don't even know. I just sometimes feel like sharing thoughts outside of writing. And yeah, uh, today is one of those days where I sat around and I thought about something that happened recently. Uh, Basically, I'm constantly trying to meet new people. And yeah, a while ago, I had made this new friendship where, yeah, a lot was communicated beforehand, like, how much time we were gonna spend. Because, the reason why we talked about that was that we really hit it off and stuff. And, um, we did want to spend more time together, but we also had to let each other know how often we'd be available and whatnot. And yeah, all was fine with all that. No issues on that end whatsoever. Um, Kind of a shame, like a little bit, but yeah, what can you do? When life calls, you answer. So I get that, but kind of like this relationship kind of went outside the scopes that we negotiated, I think, in the sense that we got to know each other like pretty well. Um, we've had a lot of deep, vulnerable conversations, and I don't know, I just felt like this person knew me, like they knew what I was about. Um, in the sense of, okay, here are my values. I value uh, communication and I don't know, a back and forth, two-way street kind of thing. But yeah, uh, it's kind of unfortunate that it took this different kind of turn. Um, the sense that, yeah, days go by, we're talking like we usually do. Uh, and days get busy for both of us at times, but um, this person had started a conversation, like a really important conversation with me. And yeah, then what happened was, I get to respond. Like, I really get into the conversation. And then they just dip on me, like, without, um, you know, properly wrapping this up. Like, what's 5 minutes to uh, wrap up a conversation with someone that you uh, care about in your life? I don't know, just 5 minutes, wrap up the conversation if it's an important topic. Because if it's just small talk, like, I get it, not a big deal, but we were talking about something deeply personal, something super important to me, and um, yeah, like it was over text, by the way. Was texting them. Uh, I was literally like, I made some time in class to text him, to text this person, because I don't know, I just had a full day, and then we talked a bit, like while I was on my way to class, and then he asks me um, this super important question or like starts a super important conversation for me. And yeah, like I'm definitely gonna want to engage into that. So yeah, I made some time after I had gotten to class, and I responded to him, and he never really got back to me that day. And I know that he's done this before, but like on more trivial subjects, and I didn't think much of it uh, at the time, because it's like whatever, not important stuff, and doesn't really need a proper ending, some conversations. But yeah, this one was left up in the air. And yeah, I just didn't enjoy that, because the next day, this guy, he texted me um, saying that he'll get back to me uh, later that day. So keep in mind, this is the next day, and that next day he says that he's gonna get back to me that current day. And then I don't, like, I see the text, I don't say anything, and he keeps on going. um I don't even get to reply, but he keeps on going on about how he deep cleaned his house and some shit like that, like the previous night and that current day, or morning rather. And I'm like, my god, this is such a trivial thing to talk about, to update me about, you know. I feel like he could have taken a little bit out of that time and, you know, actually resume the important conversation that we had. I felt like I was just being put on the back burner. Like, you're the one who pushes the button and starts this whole thing, and then you put me on the back burner like I'm just some convenience. And I don't know, it felt so silly to witness him talking about these trivialities and just completely evade the important topic that we were talking about last time. And yeah, um, I did reply to those trivialities that he told me about, but it was a short response because I didn't want to flood the conversation with other things so he'd forget it. So I just gave him a reply to that, and then I just left the conversation as it was, and I was gonna wait until he'd be willing to go back to that. And it never happened that day. He never did get back to me. And even now, like days later, radio silence. And you know, I'm like, what I'm learning as a person right now in my life is to, yeah, it's just to learn how to be okay with that. To just look at people's actions and accept them for they are, instead of trying to change the situation. Because this is something that I've always liked to do, like just fix things, fix the situation, fix my relationships with people. But there comes a point where you have to realize, if people want to do something with you, if they want to have the conversation, if they want to be present in your life, they just would, without you having to ask them twice. Because it's like, this person knows me and my values, and they know how and what I've gone through in life, and how how much my values are important to me. Sorry, I phrased that wrong. How much my values mean to me. And yeah, um I yeah, I just realized that I didn't want to do this again because I've done this a lot this year where, I try to fix my relationship with this person because I perceive it as unsatisfying. But, like, I can't pretend that there isn't a problem. So I have to accept the fact that that there is a problem. But what I realized I had to do is to stop giving myself that designated fixer role and just let people figure shit out for themselves and just actually just implement consequences for people's behavior without sending them like a note like, hey, I'm gonna be giving you a consequence because of your behavior. No, I've realized that everybody's an adult now and they should know better and they should be able to figure things out for themselves without me spelling everything out for them. Like, yes, I highly value communication, but I've gone through so many different people because I like meeting new people in general. So um, I can tell very well when someone's going to be receptive to what I'm gonna say to them when it comes to like having a hard conversation or not. And based on what uh, expectations we've negotiated for our relationship, uh, it being like, oh, it's great when we spend time together, but we can't spend that much time together. I kind of realized that I have a limited place in this person's life as it is. So they're probably not going to do something to accommodate me. Even though we've had like great times when we did hang out, uh, yeah, nothing, no such improvements are going to be made. So I should probably just save my breath on this one without like any malice because I have nothing against this person. I genuinely love because this person is also not, I wouldn't call them a writer, but they have dabbled a bit in writing and we've discussed our works. We had a great time. We shared a lot of ideas together. But I'll just leave it at that. Had some good times with this person. Interesting conversations, and it can just be that. Doesn't have to be more than it. It doesn't have to be turned into a big deal of um, yet another person disappointing the expectations or not sticking to my personal set of values. Because I've been thinking about it today and I've been thinking, I wouldn't do that to someone. I wouldn't just start a conversation that is start a conversation on a topic that is very important to them, like do all the setup and then just like dip, just go blackout, no comms. Yeah, I think that's kind of unethical if you ask me to do that to someone because it wasn't really my experience, but something like this, it can make people feel rejected. I didn't really take it as a rejection because I know this person and it wasn't about that. But if you do this to the wrong person and they're in a vulnerable state or a vulnerable time in their life and they open up to you about incredibly sensitive topics and you just dip after, you know, setting up the groundwork for that conversation, then that's just a shitty thing to do, and I wouldn't want to do that to someone, you know. I think I'd be fully honest with them and say, hey, change of plans. I know I started this conversation, but I'm gonna need to keep it short for a sec. Like, let's say what we need to say to wrap up this conversation, and then we can circle back to it some other day because I have my schedule full. I think this is something along the lines of what I would say to someone if I were to be in such a situation. And yeah, I just feel like this is the ethical way to do that, because what I personally believe is that you don't play around with people's vulnerability. I just feel like a lot of us have gone through life hurt by other people and close off parts of ourselves um, from people who didn't damage those parts, and people who would have maybe even loved to see those sides of us. So it's kind of like we make each other lose faith, lose trust, and we make each other miss on things. We're trampling on something sacred in a way. Trust, like trusting someone with your vulnerabilities, that's a hard thing to do. It's a sacred, vulnerable act, in my opinion. And it's definitely not something that I want to trample over. And a lot of people don't realize, but you can have good intentions, or you can tell yourself that you're a good person, and you can still hurt people, even if it isn't on purpose. You can still do that. You can trivialize it and give yourself an out if that's what you need to do. But at the end of the day, it doesn't change the fact that objectively, you did hurt another person. Your actions did result in you hurting another person and having an impact on who they are as a person, because all of our experiences shape us. And me personally, this year, I've lost a lot of trust in people. I still do have some trust in people, but I've had a lot of experiences this year that have forever changed me and changed the way in which I see social interactions and vulnerability with people. So, yeah, um, I do believe we should be more careful with these things as a society, and to not trample on the sanctity of vulnerability as a concept. I think, as I've said before, you can always change your mind with whatever you say, and you can guide the situation to your new favored outcome, and then everybody just gets what they need out of it. We don't have to just trample on each other. We can all get out of it, all just getting what we want. It's just a little bit of uh, extra diplomacy, instead of taking the coward's way out and just dipping when your interests are no longer being served, or when it becomes a little bit more uh, actually when the interaction demands a bit more engagement from you, and when people start to feel some kind of like pressure, like they no longer feel fully comfortable, or blah blah blah. But that's how it is in life. You just don't get to feel comfortable all the time in every single experience and every single conversation, because that's literally your opportunity to grow as a person. That's literally it. I know I've been in some uncomfortable situations in the past. It sucked to be in them in that time, and God knows I made some mistakes during them, but it's thanks to those experiences that I've come out of it as a more uh, sensible person, a more empathetic, a more understanding person. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful I had learning opportunities available to me. But yeah, to wrap that up, that story up, I probably won't be reinitiating anything with this person. It's kind of like I've realized that no one is ever cool enough for me to ditch my self-respect, to let me explain a bit further, actually. So imagine that we all love the idea of someone popping up in our lives and showering us with attention, maybe even reaching out every day or every other day. Like they're constantly there for us, they're constantly showing interest. But how many of us actually do return that energy? You know, I sometimes get to meet some really cool people, but a lot of them just have this one simple problem. They're always just waiting for me to initiate everything. They're always just waiting, whether it's IRL or online, because I've had this issue in both kinds of interactions. They're just always just waiting for me to plan things out for us, to plan our next move, for me to text them, for me to call them, for me to make the plan to this and that, or just bring all the energy into the conversation each time. And yeah, I don't know about you, but nobody is cool enough for me personally for me to pick up the planner slash mom friend role, because I've just done this far too much in the past, and I realized that I wanted to be more than just someone who fills the void. And you could basically be a superstar, and I still wouldn't be the one to text you first every day. It might seem silly to some, but I prefer a good balance. And I do make exceptions to this, of course, but only when communicated or I'm aware of things going on in this person's life or if they need extra support and all that. Side rant, but there's a problem with this as well, usually, because people don't really communicate when they have shit going on and they just isolate and avoid a lot. And then they have breakdowns and then they say that you're not being understanding or whatever, but it's kind of like understanding of what? Because I cannot understand something that I do not know about. But anyway, um, it's kind of like that balance that I mentioned of I text today, you text tomorrow, or next week, or whenever the hell you want. I I'm not really preoccupied regarding that. Like, just make it seem at least like you're genuinely interested in me, and it's not just me filling the void of your time, and it's you making a conscious voluntary choice to engage with me as a person because you find me interesting or someone that you want to spend time with. I just don't I just made this resolution this year that I won't be texting anybody 2 days in a row. Like at that point, it's bye bye. Like if you don't text back, we're literally never gonna talk again. I've pretty much like this is my final resolution on this. I will not be breaking this boundary anymore unless I really know that someone is really going through something, but only if I actually do know. Because once again, like if I don't know something, I can't really, you know, fit it into the equation. I just can't. If I don't know about it, there's no way I can do that. But yeah, um, I just won't be texting somebody 2 days in a row because as time goes on, I get emotionally invested or attached to someone who probably wouldn't be concerned if the text stopped coming one day. And maybe all I'd be is just a convenient distraction to them. This all happened before, so that's why I set up this boundary to avoid all that headache. Because people are hardly willing to change roles and dynamics once they are set in stone. And this is just psychology. I mean, I'm definitely content enough with my life. I'm having a lot of fun every day with my hobbies. And me talking to my bestie. For me to not want to deal with any of that again. I honestly just enjoy meeting new people, and I do like mutual support and uplifting each other, but I'm not gonna contribute to someone's narcissistic supply. I think the kind of people who sit around waiting for other people to line up and talk to them all the time without wanting to lift a finger for it, those people are just bored and they don't actually want to make friends. And to kind of wrap this whole thing up, um, friendships do take a lot of teamwork, is what I've noticed and experienced in my life. So if you actually want to make genuine friendships, show some genuine interest in people. Make your behavior reflect that you're actually interested in them because everything just goes both ways. It just does. You know, I don't really believe in the whole. I've heard this thing before of like sometimes in life, um, the scales are kind of like tipped more to one side, and I kind of do agree with it that there are times in life where someone is going through a lot, and you're gonna need to um, pick up the slack for them and do more in that situation. Definitely don't disagree. But I just don't agree with it being a constant of you being thrust into the role of the person who just always does more. If you're always the one who does more, I don't know, I just can't deal with any of that anymore. Just can't. If someone's going through something, they communicate that to me. Hell, I'm gonna be showing up every day, no matter what it takes, if they actually need that from me. But if I don't know shit, or like I see that this person just has other priorities, well, I'm not gonna chase you around like I'm your fucking paparazzi or something, because I have other better things to do with my life. Like, I'm actually happy with my life. I just wish that I got to share my life with more people. That's kind of the thing. Because I do feel happy with what I do every day and how I spend my time. But sometimes I do feel like it would be nice to have more people to share that with and to connect with more people. If it doesn't happen, it just is what it is. But yeah, it's just frustrating running into so many situations like these where people believe that they just automatically deserve good things without actually working for them. How I mentioned in one of my poems the other time, this whole idea of, yeah, uh, we make all these wishes, especially around this time of the year where we want all these good things, all these changes popping up in our lives, but whoever actually does something to make those things happen probably very few people actually do that. So yeah, uh, this was my rant. Thank you for listening to it. And I'll be seeing you around for the next one. And once again, if you don't hear from me again by the time the holidays roll around, I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. This has been Twy. I'll be seeing you around. Bye bye.